Gautam Mukherjee is also with us, and General Sudhakar is joining us as well. General Sudhakar, let me quickly come to you. We're going to absorb a few of the developments that have just happened and then open it up to the larger conversation. So you obviously heard the Prime Minister. So I put the puzzle pieces together, sir, and I'm reiterating for people who are watching, we are not discussing any operational matters. We are not discussing deployments, movements, plans of action. We are neither privy to them. If we were, we would not be discussing them on television. So whatever we're discussing is assessment and our imagination. Now we know the Pakistani imagination has failed the Pakistanis. They failed them in 65 because they never couldn't imagine that Shastri would open the war on the international border. It failed them in 71 because they couldn't imagine that the war would come to the west and Lahore would be surrounded. Now they are going to face imagination issues. So when the Indian Prime Minister says unimaginable consequences, what is your best guess, General Sudhakar?
Rishabh, good evening. I must confess that I am in a track to dialogue with India's strategic neighborhood on a sensitive issue, far away in the south of the country. And I have not been lucky to hear what the Honorable Prime Minister has articulated, nor have I heard your discussion. But as an independent opinion maker, as a citizen of the country and ex-general of Indian Army, retired general, let me share my thoughts. Unimaginable consequences, as I look at it, time for rhetoric are over. India must take some steps which should be enduring, eternal. Eternal meaning it should take efforts to ensure that Pakistan ceases to exist on the map of earth permanently forever. There is no scope of any allowance, no disappointment, disillusionment to anybody. So when I say this, what I mean is that if the tap from where the water of terrorism is flowing, that tap should be the center of gravity of target selection. Which is the tap from where the water is flowing? If your drawing room, bedrooms are flooded, are we going to empty the drawing and the bedroom or aim for the tap? The main tap is the Pakistan Army. Pakistan Army headquarters and the ISI in Islamabad and Rawalpindi. This is one. Second and most important thing is we need to openly activate all fronts against Pakistan, whether it is Balochistan or it is the Durand line or it is Pakhtunkhwa, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, or it is Hindustan. It has to be a whole of nation, and once in lifetime India must put its act together. It has to be a sustained effort till the end of Pakistan. Pakistan ceases to exist on the map of earth. Back to you, Rishabh.
Okay, that would have been unimaginable if you were sitting in Dhaka and your name was AAK Niazi in November of 1971 and you were asking your troops to rape the women and impregnate them so that you could have less Bengalis as Pakistani citizens. It would have been unimaginable that East Pakistan could be wiped out from the face of the geographical map of the world. Unimaginable. Well, hey presto. Okay. General Sudhakar, your quick thoughts, because we have just digested this in the past half an hour. The Pakistani Prime Minister's office has just announced that they are holding in abeyance the Shimla Agreement. Now, from my assessment and my limited knowledge, the Shimla Agreement returned the POWs to Pakistan, recognized the existence of the LOC, returned 15,000 kilometers of territory to the Pakistanis, and also incidentally led to the recognition of Bangladesh by Pakistan as an independent state. So if the Shimla Agreement is held in abeyance, something which we never wanted, many people have criticized Indira Gandhi for signing the Shimla Agreement. Have the Pakistanis really done a very interesting favor to us?
Rishabh, I couldn't, if the question is meant for me,
yes, it is.
I couldn't agree with you more. And as a independent student of geopolitics, security and strategy, I would say reinforce your conviction and your articulation. Shimla Agreement is merely a hogwash. It has not remained relevant. consequent to the K2. K2 is Khalistan and Kashmir. This desk has opened up in 1979 by Ziaul Haq, and he has unleashed terror both in J&K as also Khalistan, and thereafter a gap of almost 20-25 years intermittently, both these states have been actually activated with terrorism or acts of terrorists. So therefore, in my opinion, neither the line of control has held good, and hence it should not be. I also put a conditional suggestion for conditional kind of activity as a part of response matrix. Why hasn't India made a conditional imposition on Pakistan as far as the ceasefire agreement which was held in February 2021? Why, if they can come across the border and carry out such inhuman kind of a genocidal attack on the of India, why, what has stopped India?
Okay, so just forgive me, sir, because of course, despite your, I'm sure, skills at diplomacy, you're not a career diplomat, neither am I, okay? But for anybody watching this in India and Pakistan, and especially if you happen to see a clip of this in Pakistan, let me just tell you what your government has done. The Indus Water Treaty is needed by Pakistan. Pakistan has done everything possible since it was signed 60s for 70 years, and we in India have done nothing, not a single project to hold back the waters of the Indus. In fact, more water flows into Pakistan every year than the 70% we are supposed to let flow, because we haven't built the canals and the dams even to use the part that we are supposed to use. So Pakistan desperately needs the Indus Water Treaty. So your response to something which you desperately needed was the revocation of something that India never wanted. It is genius. This is when you do a slow clap for the diplomatic establishment of the Pakistani state, all the feudal lords and ladies who come from Oxford and Cambridge. Very well taught they are, because anybody who knows anything about India knows that nobody wanted the Shimla Agreement. The Shimla Agreement returned the POWs to Pakistan, returned the land to Pakistan, created the LOC which we didn't want to recognize. Indira Gandhi has been criticized for 50 years for agreeing to Zulfikar's emotional blackmail and signing this, as you can see in a photograph on your screens. So your solution or your response to something that is a debilitating blow to you is to do India a favor. I can't stop smiling about it. Now, obviously, practically on the ground, the LOC doesn't cease to exist overnight, but legally, the LOC doesn't exist. The legal Indian position is Jammu and Kashmir is a constitutional part of India. So, Indira Gandhi made the mistake of legally recognizing the existence of the LOC. That LOC now no longer exists. The peace deal of 1972 no longer exists. Let me get Rajan Khanna into this. Rajanji, let me just absorb this development, because I'm trying not to smile, because the gravitas of the situation is so serious in the backdrop of something so violent and murderous that has taken place. But what do you make of Pakistan's diplomatic coup? Wow, what a genius move.
You see, there are two parts of the whole incident. One thing is, this terrain they chose because of peculiarity of the terrain. I very frequently go to Kashmir Valley for my documentary shooting.
Sorry to distract you, sir. I didn't want to go back to Pahalgam for just a second. I want to ask you on the Shimla agreement.
Yeah, Shimla, okay. Shimla, because the voice was distorting. Shimla, you see, Pakistan, ever since we signed Indus Water Treaty with them right from 1960, we have had many agreements with them. That was Tashkent, we signed in 1965, 1972, we had Shimla agreement, and then we had Lahore Declaration in 1999. Tell me which agreement was there other than Indus Water Treaty, which Pakistan abided by. They have, just now you said they say we are going to keep this Shimla agreement in abeyance. Which provision of Shimla agreement they people have abided by. They Bhutto very smartly manipulated Mrs. Indira Gandhi in 1972. P.N. Haksar, who was present in the meeting at that time, Indira Gandhi's personal secretary, he wrote later on in his memoirs, he said that we wanted at that time Kashmir issue to be settled forever. Mr. Bhutto told Mrs. Gandhi, if I go back to Pakistan, a defeated prime minister with 90,000 soldiers in your captivity, so what face I will show to the people? So please give me some time. I will return after 6 months and we will have permanent solution to Kashmir problem, which never happened. And you know what Bhutto did after that? After he went back, he took 93,000 prisoners of war also back from us. And then, he started making preparations for their nuclear program, which he did in Multan, in one cowshed. That happened immediately after he came here to sign this Shimla agreement. It's a very long story. So no agreement Pakistan abided by. All the agreements, 1999 at one place, Mr. Vajpayee, he's been declaring, he's been going to Minar of Pakistan and say, okay. And old RSS men, RSS, the existence of Pakistan, RSS say this is the Khand Bharat. He goes there and he acknowledges existence of Pakistan. He very, very vehemently announces, at the Minar of Pakistan, okay, whatever politically has happened. Now both the countries, we should live, as a friendly neighbor. There are a lot of things where we people can always engage with each other.
Okay, all right. Okay, Rajanji, I'll take it issue. Let me take it issue by issue. So let me get Gautam Mukherjee. Gautam Mukherjee, I just want your 2 bits. Okay, just as an Indian observing this with, of course, knowledge and experience. Shimla agreement, the Pakistani PMO says they are exercising their right to terminate all agreements with India, including the Shimla agreement. What does this actually mean? What am I supposed to understand from this?
No, let them.
Gautam Mukherjee, Mr. Mukherjee.
It is.
Yeah, Gautamji, take that thought.
Well, it absolutely amounts to zero because they've violated all these agreements. None of them work on the ground, haven't done for years. They've been violated multiple times. One thought is if the LOC is not valid, then we'll just walk in at our convenience and take the rest of POK and Gilgit-Baltistan. But first things first, I think very shortly we will teach them a lesson that they will not recover from. And in the aftermath of that, we can use their revocation of agreements to take over POK and Gilgit-Baltistan as well.
I'm trying to understand in Islamabad and Rawalpindi right now. They've obviously had a meeting right last night. Okay, the Indians have suspended the Indus Water Treaty. What do we do? Right, that's what's happened obviously. So now they are thinking we ought to hit back. Now a treaty which is literally their lifeline, and their response is to revoke a treaty which nobody in India wants. Which genius has figured this out? I'm not being able to understand.
Well, the thing is, Rishabh, I think they're in a state of panic. You see, they convince themselves that Indians are cowards, Indians will not retaliate, they will kill our disposable 3-4 terrorists and call it a day because, we've done it countless times. We've never gone beyond that, particularly in the days of the Congress. Including 2611.
Okay, so let me rephrase the question to all 3 of my guests. Gautam Mukherjee, in your assessment, how important was the Indus Water Treaty to Pakistan? Very important, slightly important, not important at all?
They will be parched without any water.
So very important.
They themselves have said today that it is a lifeline for 200.
So it is very important. Now, how important is the Shimla agreement, Gautam Mukherjee, to Indians?
It is of no consequence. It's a silly agreement.
Okay. Same question then. Same question. This is just so that the audience can understand. Same question to General Sudhakar. General Sudhakar, in your opinion, you're not a riparian expert. But in your opinion, how important is the Indus Water Treaty to Pakistan?
It is very important, very, very important to Pakistan, so as to call itself as a nation state. But as far as India is concerned, it holds no relevance.
Okay. Okay. So next question: how important is the Shimla Agreement to India?
Nothing. Shimla Agreement, I have just researched on proxy war, given it for publication to one of the international think tank. Proxy war has also highlighted this aspect. Shimla Agreement has got no standing, no bearing.
So
no
again, so let me just
implication for
isolate
it.
this, and I'm trying to do it step by step. So there's people who are understanding, who might we start throwing things around, which is historically things something 50 years ago, 60 years ago. You've just heard from two people. Now let me ask Rajan Khanna. Rajan Khanna, in your assessment, how important is the Indus Water Treaty to Pakistan? Can Rajanji hear us? Can we hear him?
No, I think he's muted. He's muted.
Rajanji, how important is the Indus Water Treaty to Pakistan? If you can't hear us, then let's.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, how important is the Indus Water Treaty to Pakistan?
You see, Pakistan called Kashmir its jugular vein, Shahrag. Instead of blood, the water flows from the Shahrag. And
So very important, slightly important, not important.
It is very important.
Okay,
They
how
simply
important is
cannot-
the Indus?
they
How
simply
important is the Shimla Agreement to India?
The water, the 3 rivers, I tell
Rajanji,
you, I will-
Rajanji, I'm sorry, I'm just, I'm just hustling you around. How important is the Shimla Agreement to India?
It's a piece of Raddi paper for us.
So again, you just heard three people tell you that your response to something that was very important to you is something that is completely meaningless to us.
Yeah.
It's laughable. I can't digest the meeting that has happened, and these, I'm telling you, Oxford educated Pak foreign officers who have sat down and they've briefed either Shehbaz or the army chief, whatever. Okay, sir, they've been asked, how do we respond to India? How do we respond to Narendra Modi? Sir, we will hold the Shimla Agreement in abeyance. But that's what India wants. Nobody cares about the Shimla Agreement. People have criticized Indira Gandhi for 50 years for signing it in the first place. It's the sheer genius. I can't process this, that the sheer genius of it. Okay, now let me get back to my original point of conversation. Gautam Mukherjee, the enemy aliens, my words, not the government of India's, my words. Enemy aliens have been asked to leave. They've got 48 hours to get out. The Pakistani attaches have got 7 days to get out, 6 days remaining. Now all Pakistanis, including those medical visa holders, have been asked to leave within 7 days. Indian armed forces are on high alert, and the Prime Minister of this country has come in publicly said, we will hunt them to the ends of the earth with unimaginable consequences. What do you suspect in all seriousness is coming, sir? I am assuming it's beyond the Indus Water Treaty.
I think there will be a very sharp attack involving the Indian Navy, the Indian Air Force, and the Indian Army on the Pakistan Army, Navy, and Air Force. I think we plan to cripple all three of their military capacities.
Okay, same question to you, Rajan Khanna. Given the events that have taken place, what do you think is coming? Is it going to stop at the suspension of the Indus Water Treaty, or do you suspect something bigger is coming?
Sir, unless we do some kinetic action, they people will keep on doing what they have been doing for past so many years. So that has to be done, number one. Number two, where till what point the escalation takes place. So if they people do something like when we did Balakot, they came with their F-16s and their J-17s came back to Indian territory. If something like that happens, escalation is on cards. And as this gentleman has spoken, Indian Navy, Air Force, and our Army, in conjunction, we have to take some action. And beyond that, I will say there are 2 points. One is Balochistan. They are waiting us now. Then people in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, Manzoor Pashtun, we are getting several messages from him. Why don't we support their movement, which is basically, rightful movement for their human rights. Then Mehran Baroch from Balochistan, and one more thing, which is connected within the Indus Water Treaty. That is, Pakistan recently has planned to take 6 canals from Indus River to Cholistan desert of their southern Punjab area. Sindhi people, they are up in arms. You know, the entire Sindh, they people are protesting. They say that you just cannot take our water away from us. Before that, Kalabag Dam, which was
but
basically to be
Rajan
made
ji,
there.
obviously,
Yeah.
Hindustan, Balochistan as independent republics are not going to be created next week, or do you suspect even that can happen?
No, we have to support them. Very explicitly, we have to support the movements which are going on not only in KPK, in Balochistan also, besides that, in Sindh also. Because all the resources, you know, mineral resources, sui gas and everything of Balochistan is bloody, you know, eaten away by the Punjab province. The water resources of Sindh, they are being usurped by Punjab province. So they people are, you know, they are protesting. They are completely up in arms. We have to support them also.
Okay. I want to address one last question, and General Sudhakar is the right person. So let me come to him. General Sudhakar, you know, you had a longer and more illustrious career than me, but in my limited time in the media, past 20 odd years, every time things would escalate with Pakistan, we would start talking nuclear weapons. I remember I was probably in college when a prominent Indian national magazine had published on its cover page a depiction of what it would feel like if a nuclear weapon was dropped on Connaught Place. And I remember writing to them and objecting to such a representation. But we've always talked nuclear. Nobody's talking nuclear this time. How come? Why is that bogey gone?
Well, Rishabh, very good question. Is it nuclear bogey or nuclear deterrence having been called bluff has been repeatedly validated number of times, once in Kargil to an extent, to limited extent, although it put lots of restrictions against Indian troops. We had to go in for the attack with our hands tied behind the back. But mostly I would say Ukraine and Russia war has actually evidently, or it has highlighted that no, nuclear deterrence is being called bluff. Had it been effective, then perhaps the Western alliances assisting Ukraine could have applied that particular approach. And second most important thing is, before we come for the nuclear one, you see the issue regarding what happened between China and India in Galwan, or with Pakistan, that we have undertaken Balakot. Balakot was the turning point as far as India and Pakistan is concerned. If they wanted, they could have launched a nuclear weapon. They haven't, because I'll tell you what, not many people know, in 2007, Musharraf was the martial ruler that time. The leadership in America told him that if you are not willingly giving your arsenal to the custody or at least surveillance of the American team, then we will.
You have read my mind, because that was going to be my next question. Is it your rough understanding? None of us can be for sure, but is it your rough understanding that Pakistan's nuclear launch facility or capability is now constrained by America?
You read the book No Exit from Pakistan by Daniel Markey. I think it was your channel or some channel it was showing yesterday. I have read the book so many times. It is convincingly coming out this particular outcome. The book came out in 2013 or 14. So that is one aspect. Second aspect, the Americans are actually there in all the silos, all the installations. They are keeping an eye, and there are checks and balances in place. That apart, Rishabh, if you allow me, let me just tell our viewers that this time, as a military general, I am saying there is going to be a very comprehensive and strategic offensive against Pakistan in a sustained manner. It is not going to happen like one Balakot over. No, there is going to be a Israeli principle going to be applied in terms of, mowing the lawn or mowing the grass every 6 months, 5 months, 3 months. Whenever these ugly faces they show up, they have to be hit hard. Similarly, you have kinetic component, non-kinetic. In kinetic, you will have standoff component. There are components like infantry who will go on the boots on ground. They will invade across the line of control, go and hit the target, may stay on, may come back. India as a philosophy, as a doctrine, has never captured a piece of ground of any country and stayed on. It is a very long time affair. It is not going to die down within 14 days or 20 days. That is how I understand unimaginable consequences of
let's imagine the unimaginable. That's my job here. Okay.